found my dead daughter's necklace on a beggar. She said my husband gave it to her. That silver chain with the little hummingbird pendant, the one I'd buried with my daughter 3 years ago, was hanging around a homeless woman's neck on a Tuesday afternoon in downtown Seattle. And when I asked her where she got it, she looked me dead in the eyes and said 4 words that shattered everything I thought I knew. Your husband gave it. Welcome to Voice of Legends. This is my story of betrayal. And if you've ever trusted the wrong person, hit that subscribe button because you are not alone. Here is how it happened. I was reading comments on Voice of Legends the other day, and I realized I wasn't the only one who'd been living a lie. So many of you have been where I am now, standing in the wreckage of a life you thought was real, holding pieces that don't fit together anymore. This is for all of us. My name is Sarah Mitchell, and I'm a 38-year-old photographer in Seattle. Or at least I was. Now I don't know what I am. A mother without a child? A wife married to a stranger? A woman who buried her 7-year-old daughter and then spent 3 years sleeping next to a man who might be a monster? Let me take you back to where this really starts. Not to that Tuesday afternoon. We'll get there. But to the day my world first ended, June 14th, 2021, the day my daughter Emma drowned. We were at Lake Sammamish. It was supposed to be a perfect family day. Emma was obsessed with hummingbirds that summer. She'd spent weeks watching them at our backyard feeder, memorizing their colors, learning their names. Ruby-throated, Anna's, Rufus. My beautiful, brilliant baby could identify them all. For her 7th birthday, 2 weeks before, I'd given her that silver hummingbird necklace. She never took it off. She wore it swimming, to bed, to school. It was her talisman, her wings. My husband, Marcus, had planned the whole trip. He'd packed the cooler, loaded the car, picked the perfect spot by the water. We spread our blanket near the shore. It was crowded that day, families everywhere, kids screaming and laughing, the smell of sunscreen and grilled hot dogs thick in the air. I remember Emma running toward the water in her pink swimsuit, that necklace catching the sunlight like a tiny star against her skin. I remember calling after her, "Wait for Mommy!" I was unpacking the picnic basket, pulling out sandwiches and fruit, arranging everything the way I always did. Marcus was right there on the blanket beside me, setting up his Bluetooth speaker. "I've got eyes on her. She's fine, babe. Relax." But he didn't have eyes on her. He was scrolling through his playlist. And Emma, my brave, fearless little bird, ran into the water while I was cutting watermelon and her father was choosing a song. I don't know how long it took. 3 minutes? 5? The coroner said drowning is fast and silent. Not like the movies. No screaming, no splashing, just a child slipping under, lungs filling, brain shutting down. By the time I looked up from the picnic basket, by the time I realized I couldn't hear her laughter anymore, by the time I saw her pink swimsuit floating 20 feet out, it was already too late. I ran. I screamed her name. I dove into that water and I pulled my baby out and I laid her on the sand and I breathed into her mouth and I pressed on her tiny chest and I begged her to come back to me. "Emma, baby, breathe. Please breathe. Mommy's here. Mommy's got you. Please, baby, please." But Emma was already gone. The EMTs said I did everything right. The police said it was a tragic accident. The grief counselor said drowning is the 2nd leading cause of death in children under 10, that it happens in seconds, that I shouldn't blame myself. But I did. God, I did. Because I was her mother. I was supposed to protect her. I was supposed to be watching. And I wasn't. I was cutting watermelon while my daughter died. Marcus blamed himself. At least that's what he told me. "I should have been watching," he said the night after the funeral. We were lying in Emma's room, surrounded by her stuffed animals and her drawings of hummingbirds. The room still smelled of her, that sweet child smell of apple shampoo and crayons. "Sarah, I'm so sorry. I failed you. I failed Emma." I held him. I told him it wasn't his fault. I told him we'd get through it together. I told him I loved him. I meant it then. I meant every word. The funeral was on a Thursday. Emma wore her favorite yellow dress, the one with Yeezys on it that she'd picked out herself at Target, and I insisted they leave the hummingbird necklace around her neck. Marcus fought me on that. He wanted to keep it, to have something of Emma's to hold on to. "Sarah, please," he begged. "I need something. I need a piece of her. Let me keep the necklace." "We have her photos, her drawings, her room, her clothes, but that necklace, it was hers. I gave it to her. It stays with her." Marcus cried, but he gave in, and when they closed the casket, that little silver hummingbird was right there against Emma's chest, where it belonged, where I put it. We buried Emma on a gray Thursday, rain threatening but never quite falling. Marcus stood beside me at the grave, his arm around my waist, his body rigid with grief. I remember thinking we'd never recover from this, that our marriage would be one of those statistics, couples who lose a child and can't survive it. I'd read somewhere that 80% of marriages don't make it after the death of a child. But we did, or at least I thought we did. The first year was hell. I couldn't work, couldn't pick up a camera. Every image I'd ever taken of Emma felt like a knife in my chest. I'd spent 7 years photographing my daughter, her first steps, her first day of school, her gap-toothed smile, and now those photos were all I had left. I couldn't look at them, couldn't breathe around them. Marcus held us together. He kept working, kept paying the bills, kept the house running while I fell apart. He'd come home to find me in Emma's room, sitting on the floor, holding her stuffed rabbit and staring at nothing. He got me into therapy. He found a grief support group. He held me when I cried, which was every day. Slowly, gradually, I came back. By the second year, I was showering again, going for walks, seeing my sister. I even started taking photos again. Nothing of people, just landscapes, empty spaces, light through trees. Marcus encouraged me, told me he was proud of me, told me Emma would be proud. By the third year, we'd even started talking about the future again. Not about having another child. I couldn't go there, couldn't even imagine it. But about traveling, about selling the house with all its ghosts and starting fresh somewhere new. Maybe California, maybe Colorado, somewhere without lakes, somewhere I could breathe. Marcus started volunteering at a homeless outreach program downtown. He said helping others made him feel human again, made him feel like Emma's death could mean something if we could do good in our name. I thought it was beautiful. I thought he was healing. That's where we were 3 weeks ago, planning our escape, planning our healing. And then came that Tuesday. I was downtown for a meeting with a gallery owner. She wanted to feature my landscape work in a show, my first exhibition since Emma died. The meeting went well, and I was walking back to my car around 2 p.m., cutting through Occidental Park, when I saw her. The beggar woman was sitting against a brick wall, a cardboard sign propped beside her. Homeless and hungry, anything helps. God bless. She was maybe 50, maybe 70. Hard living makes age impossible to guess. Matted gray hair, weathered skin, clothes that looked like they'd been worn for months. But it wasn't her face I noticed first. It was the necklace. That silver chain, that little hummingbird pendant, the one I'd buried with my daughter 3 years ago, was hanging around a homeless woman's neck on a Tuesday afternoon in downtown Seattle. And when I asked her where she got it, she looked me dead in the eyes and said 4 words that shattered everything I thought I knew. "Your husband gave it." "That necklace," I whispered. "Where did you get that necklace?" She covered it with her hand, instinctively, protective. "It's 9. "Please," my voice cracked. "I need to know where you got it. It's important. Please." She studied me for a long moment. Something in my face must have convinced her because her expression softened. A man gave it to me, few months back. Nice man. He volunteers with the outreach program sometimes. Said his daughter died and he wanted someone else to have it. Said it would bring me luck. The world tilted. The ground shifted beneath my feet. What man? What did he look like? Tall, black guy, always real kind, brings us food sometimes. My mouth went dry. My hands went numb. What outreach program? Bread of Life on 3rd Avenue. Bread of Life, the homeless outreach program where Marcus volunteered. I don't remember what I said next. I think I thanked her. I think I gave her money, everything in my wallet. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold the bills. Then I asked the question that would destroy everything. Can I see it? The necklace, just to look at it. She hesitated, then pulled it off and handed it to me. I turned it over in my hands with trembling fingers. There, on the back of the hummingbird's body, was the engraving I'd requested. Emma's wings. Love. Mommy. The same necklace. The exact same necklace. The one I'd buried with my daughter. My vision blurred. My chest tightened. I couldn't breathe. I looked up at the woman, and my voice came out broken. The man who gave you this? What's his name? Marcus. Marcus something. He's there most Thursdays. Marcus. My husband had somehow taken our daughter's necklace from her grave and given it to a homeless woman. But why? How? And what else had he lied about?
I don't remember getting to my car. I don't remember the drive home. One moment I was standing in Occidental Park holding my dead daughter's necklace, and the next I was sitting in our driveway, engine running, staring at our front door like it belonged to a stranger's house. The necklace was clutched in my fist so tight the hummingbird's wings were cutting into my palm. I could feel it, the sharp edges, the realness of it. This wasn't a hallucination. This wasn't grief playing tricks on my mind. This was Emma's necklace, the one I'd buried with her, which meant someone had opened her grave. The thought hit me like ice water. Someone had dug up my daughter's coffin. Someone had opened it. Someone had taken the necklace from her body. And Marcus had given it away. I sat in that car for 20 minutes, maybe longer, trying to make sense of it, trying to find an explanation that didn't end with my husband being a grave robber, a monster, a liar. Maybe there was another necklace. Maybe the jeweler had made 2 and never told me. Maybe this was all a horrible coincidence. But the engraving, Emma's wings, love, mommy. I'd written those words myself on the order form. I'd watched the jeweler etch them into the silver. There was no duplicate. There couldn't be. Maybe Marcus had it copied somehow. Maybe before the funeral he'd taken it to a jeweler and had them make a replica. Maybe he'd switched them and I'd never noticed. But why? Why would he do that? And why give it to a homeless woman months later? My hands were shaking so badly I could barely get my phone out. I pulled up Marcus's contact. My thumb hovered over the call button. What would I even say? Hey, honey, funny story. I found Emma's necklace on a beggar and she said you gave it to her. Care to explain why you desecrated our daughter's grave? I couldn't call him. Not yet. Not until I knew what I was dealing with. I needed proof. I needed to know if Emma's grave had been disturbed. I needed to know if my husband was capable of something so unthinkable. I drove to Evergreen Cemetery. The drive took 15 minutes but felt like hours. My mind was spinning, spiraling, jumping to conclusions and then backing away from them because they were too horrible to believe. Marcus loved Emma. He'd cried at her funeral.
He'd held me every night for months while I sobbed. He'd been the strong one, the one who kept us going. He couldn't have done this. He wouldn't. But the necklace in my hand said otherwise. Evergreen Cemetery sits on a hillside overlooking Puget Sound. It's beautiful in a sad way. Old trees, marble headstones, carefully maintained grass. We'd chosen a spot under a cherry tree. Emma loved cherry blossoms. Every spring they'd bloom pink and white, and she'd run through our neighbor's yard trying to catch the falling petals. I parked near the maintenance building and walked up the hill to her grave. My legs felt like lead. Every step was harder than the last. Emma's headstone was simple, white marble with a carved hummingbird in the corner. Emma Rose Mitchell, beloved daughter, May 3rd, 2014 to June 14th, 2021. Forever our little bird. I stood there for a long moment, just breathing, just being near her. Then I looked at the ground. The grass was perfect, unbroken, neat and trim, and completely undisturbed. I dropped to my knees and ran my hands over the ground. No seams, no gaps, no signs that anyone had dug here recently. The soil was compact, settled, exactly as it should be after 3 years. Relief flooded through me. The grave was intact. No one had dug up my daughter. But then where did the necklace come from? I sat back on my heels, staring at the headstone, and a new thought crept in. Cold, terrible. What if the necklace was never buried with Emma? What if Marcus had taken it before the funeral? I closed my eyes and tried to remember. The viewing at the funeral home, Emma in her yellow dress, her hands folded over her chest, her hair brushed and perfect, and the necklace. I'd placed it around her neck myself. I remember doing it. I remembered the cool silver against my fingers. I remember fastening the clasp. Or did I? 3 years is a long time. Grief does strange things to memory. I'd been so deep in shock that week, so numb with pain. What if I only remembered putting the necklace on her because I had intended to? What if Marcus had taken it before I got the chance? No, that didn't make sense either. I'd been with Emma's body almost constantly. At the funeral home for the viewing, at the service, I would have noticed if the necklace wasn't there. Unless it was switched. Unless Marcus had a copy made and put the fake one on Emma while keeping the real one. But again, why? Why would he do that? My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from Marcus. "Hey babe, heading home early. Want me to grab takeout?" I stared at the message, at his name, at the little heart emoji he always added after babe. I texted back, "Sure, Thai food." My fingers moved automatically. My brain was somewhere else. I needed to search the house. I needed to find answers before he got home, before I confronted him and he had time to come up with lies. I drove home fast, maybe too fast. I pulled into the garage and went straight inside. Marcus wouldn't be home for at least 30 minutes, maybe 45 if traffic was bad. I started in his office. Marcus is a software engineer. He works from home 3 days a week, and his office is his sanctuary. 2 monitors, expensive chair, walls lined with bookshelves. I'd barely been in here since Emma died. It felt too much like his space, too separate from our grief. I opened his desk drawers methodically. Pens, notepads, charging cables, old receipts. Nothing unusual, nothing suspicious. I moved to the filing cabinet. Tax documents, insurance papers, warranties, all normal, all boring. I checked his bookshelves, running my hands behind the books, looking for hidden compartments like I was in a bad movie. Nothing. I was about to give up when I noticed the locked drawer in his desk. A small drawer at the bottom right. I'd seen it 1,000 times, but never thought about it. Everyone has a junk drawer, a place for private things. But it was locked. I pulled on it, definitely locked. I searched his desk for a key. Nothing. I checked the usual hiding spots, under the desk, taped to the back, in the pencil cup. Nothing. The lock was small, flimsy. I could break it if I wanted to. Did I want to? I looked at my phone. 20 minutes until Marcus got home. I went to the kitchen and grabbed a butter knife, came back, wedged it into the lock, twisted. The drawer popped open. Inside was a manila folder, nothing else, just one folder. I pulled it out with shaking hands and opened it. Photographs, maybe 20 of them, printed on regular printer paper. The first photo made my blood run cold. It was Emma, in her casket, eyes closed, hands folded, yellow dress perfect, and around her neck, nothing. No necklace. I flipped to the next photo. Same thing. Emma in the casket, no necklace. The next photo, the next. Someone had photographed Emma in her casket from every angle, close-ups of her face, her hands, her chest, and in every single photo, she wasn't wearing the necklace. My hands were shaking so hard the photos scattered across the desk. I grabbed another one. This one was dated June 17th, 2021, the day before the funeral. In this photo, the casket was open, but Emma's face was different, wrong. Her makeup was smudged, her hair was messy, like someone had been handling her. The next photo showed hands, Marcus's hands, I recognized his watch, holding the hummingbird necklace over Emma's body. The next photo showed those same hands putting the necklace into a small black box. I couldn't breathe. The room was spinning. Marcus had taken the necklace before the funeral. He'd photographed himself doing it. He'd documented removing jewelry from our dead daughter's body. But why? I heard the garage door open. Marcus was home. I shoved the photos back into the folder. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped half of them. I scrambled to pick them up, stuffing them back into the drawer, trying to make everything look untouched. The butter knife. I'd left the butter knife on the desk. I grabbed it and ran to the kitchen, threw it in the sink just as I heard Marcus's footsteps in the garage. I turned on the faucet, pretended I was washing dishes, tried to control my breathing. Act normal. Act normal. Don't let him see. The door opened. Marcus walked in carrying 2 plastic bags of Thai food, and the smell of pad Thai and curry filled the kitchen. He was smiling, that same warm smile he'd given me for 12 years of marriage, the same smile he'd given me the day we brought Emma home from the hospital. "Hey, beautiful," he said, setting the bags on the counter. He came over and kissed my cheek. "You okay? You look pale." I flinched. I couldn't help it. His lips on my skin felt like poison. "I'm fine," I said. My voice came out too high. "Just tired. Long day." He studied my face for a moment, concern in his eyes. Those dark brown eyes I used to get lost in. Now they looked like a stranger's. "You sure? You feel warm." He pressed his hand against my forehead. "Maybe you're coming down with something." I stepped back. "I'm fine, Marcus. Really. Let's just eat." We sat at the kitchen table like we'd done 1,000 times before. He served the food, chatting about his day, about a bug in his code, about a funny meme someone sent him. Normal husband things. Normal conversation. I couldn't taste the food. Every bite felt like sawdust in my mouth. I pushed noodles around my plate and watched him, really watched him, looking for signs of the monster, looking for cracks in the mask. He looked the same, acted the same, laughed at his own jokes the same way. "Sarah, seriously, are you okay?" He put down his fork. "You're not eating. You're not talking. What's wrong?" This was my moment. I could ask him. I could pull out the necklace and demand answers. But something stopped me. Some instinct, some small voice in my head that said, if he did this, if he really did this, you need to be smart. You need to be careful. I went to see Emma today, at the cemetery. His face softened immediately. "Oh, babe, was it a hard day? Is that why you're upset?" I needed to be near her, to talk to her. "I know." He reached across the table and took my hand. His touch made my skin crawl. "I think about her every day. I miss her so much." "Do you ever wonder," I said slowly, carefully, "if we did the right thing, burying her with the necklace?" Something flickered in his eyes, so fast I almost missed it, but it was there, a flash of something. Guilt? Fear? "What do you mean?" he asked. "I mean, maybe we should have kept it, had something of hers to hold on to. Sometimes I wish I could touch it, hold it, remember her." Marcus pulled his hand back, picked up his fork, stabbed at a piece of chicken. "We talked about this, Sarah. You wanted her to have it. You said it belonged with her." "I know. I'm just saying, sometimes I wonder." He chewed slowly, swallowed, looked at me with an expression I couldn't read. "We can't change the past, Sarah." The way he said it, the finality in his voice, it sent a chill down my spine. We finished dinner in silence. Marcus cleared the plates. I excused myself, said I needed to lie down. He kissed my forehead and told me to rest. I went upstairs to our bedroom and closed the door, locked it, pulled out my phone. I needed help. I needed someone I could trust, someone who knew me, knew Marcus, someone who could tell me if I was crazy or if my husband was a monster. I called my sister, Rebecca. She answered on the second ring. "Hey, I was just thinking about you. How'd the gallery meeting go?" "Becca," my voice cracked, "I need you to come over. Now, please." "Sarah, what's wrong? What happened?" "I can't explain over the phone. Please, can you come?" "I'm 20 minutes away. I'll leave right now. Are you safe? Is Marcus?" "Just come, please." I hung up and sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the closed door. Downstairs, I could hear Marcus moving around. The TV turned on. A basketball game. Normal evening sounds. But nothing was normal. Nothing would ever be normal again. 23 minutes later, the doorbell rang. I heard Marcus answer it, heard Rebecca's voice, bright and cheerful. "Hey, Marcus, Sarah said she wasn't feeling well. Thought I'd come check on her." "Oh, that's nice of you. She's upstairs. Go on up." Footsteps on the stairs, a soft knock on the bedroom door. "Sarah, it's me." I unlocked the door and pulled her inside. Rebecca took one look at my face, and her expression changed from concern to alarm. "What happened? You look like you've seen a ghost." I pulled the necklace from my pocket, held it out to her. Rebecca stared at it. Her face went pale. "Is that—" "Emma's necklace, yes." "But how? Where did you—" "No," I shook my head. "We didn't. Marcus has photos in his office, photos of Emma in the casket without the necklace, photos of him taking it. He never buried it with her." "What? Sarah, that doesn't make any sense. Why would he—" "I don't know." My voice came out louder than I meant to. I lowered it to a whisper. "I don't know why, but he did it. He took it, and then months later he gave it away like it was nothing." Rebecca was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "Have you asked him?" "No, I'm scared to. Becca, if he did this, if he really stole from Emma's body, what else is he capable of?" Okay, let's think about this logically.
Rebecca went into problem-solving mode. She's a lawyer. She's good at this. First, are you sure it's the same necklace? I turned it over, showed her the engraving. Emma's wings. Love, Mommy. Rebecca's eyes filled with tears. Oh, Sarah. There's no other explanation. He took it. He lied about it for 3 years, and then he gave it away like it was nothing.
Okay, so we need to figure out why. Maybe there's a good reason. Maybe. What good reason could there possibly be for stealing jewelry off your dead daughter's body? Rebecca had no answer for that. We sat there in silence. Then she said, "What do you want to do?" "I want to confront him. I want answers." "Do you feel safe doing that?" The question hung in the air. Did I feel safe? With Marcus? The man I'd been married to for 12 years? The man I'd had a child with? The man who'd held me through the worst pain of my life? "I don't know," I whispered. "Then let me be here when you do it. Let me be in the room, just in case." I nodded. Okay, yes. Will you stay?" "Of course I will." We went downstairs together. Marcus was on the couch watching the game. He looked up and smiled when he saw us. "Hey, Becca, staying for a bit?" "Actually, Marcus," I said, and my voice was steadier than I expected, "we need to talk." He picked up the remote and muted the TV. "Sure, what's up?" I pulled the necklace from my pocket and held it up, watched his face, and there it was, the flash of recognition, of panic, of guilt. He knew exactly what I was holding. "Where did you get that?" he asked quietly. "I think you know where I got it, because you're the one who gave it away." Marcus stood up slowly. His eyes darted between me and Rebecca. "Sarah, don't lie to me, please. I can't take any more lies. Just tell me the truth. Did you take this necklace from Emma's casket?" The silence stretched out, long, terrible. Then Marcus said, "Yes." The word hung in the air like a bomb that had already detonated. Yes, such a simple word, 2 letters, 1 syllable, but it destroyed everything. Rebecca grabbed my arm to steady me. I hadn't realized I was swaying. "You what?" My voice came out as a whisper. You took it? You took Emma's necklace from her body?" Marcus took a step toward me. I took a step back. "Sarah, please, let me explain." "Explain what?" My voice was rising now. "Explain how you've desecrated our daughter's grave. Explain how you've been lying to me for 3 years." "I didn't desecrate anything. The grave was never disturbed. I took it before we buried her." I was shaking. "You took it from her body before the funeral. I saw the photos, Marcus. I saw the photos in your desk. You documented yourself stealing from our dead daughter." His face crumbled. "I needed to. You needed to what? What could you possibly need that was worth more than letting our baby rest in peace?" Rebecca spoke up, her lawyer voice calm and measured. "Marcus, I think you need to start from the beginning. Why did you take the necklace?" He ran his hands through his hair, paced to the window, stared out at the darkening street. When he finally spoke, his voice was broken. "Because I couldn't let it be buried. I couldn't let it be lost forever." "It wasn't lost," I said. "It was with Emma, where it belonged, where I wanted it to be." "No," he turned to face me. His eyes were red. "You don't understand. That necklace was the last thing you gave her, the last gift, the last piece of you she had. I couldn't let it be buried in the ground where we'd never see it again, where it would decay and corrode and disappear." I stared at him. So you decided to play God? You decided what happened to it without even telling me? You were so insistent, his voice cracked. At the funeral home, you were so adamant that it had to be buried with her. You wouldn't listen to reason. I tried to talk to you about keeping it, and you completely shut me down. You were so deep in your grief, you weren't thinking clearly. So you made the decision for me? I made a decision for us, for our marriage. Sarah, I knew if we buried that necklace, you'd regret it. Maybe not right away, but eventually. You'd wish you had something tangible to hold on to, something real. Then why didn't you keep it? I demanded. Why give it to a homeless woman months later like it was trash? Marcus closed his eyes. I was going to keep it. I swear I was. I had it in a safe in my office. I looked at it sometimes when I missed her, when the grief was too heavy. Then what changed? The guilt. He opened his eyes and they were swimming with tears. The guilt was eating me alive, Sarah. Every day I woke up knowing I'd lied to you, knowing I'd deceived you about something so important. I couldn't stand it anymore. Rebecca leaned forward. So you gave it away? I thought if it was gone, if someone else had it, I could finally let go of the guilt. If I couldn't keep it and we couldn't bury it with Emma, then maybe someone else deserving could have it. Someone who needed something beautiful, someone who needed luck or hope or... His voice broke. I don't know. I wasn't thinking straight. I felt like I was going to be sick. You gave away our daughter's necklace to ease your own guilt? No, that's not... He stepped toward me again. Sarah, please, I know how this sounds. I know how wrong it was. But I did it because I love you. I did it because I couldn't stand the thought of you losing both of us. I had her memory. I had her photos. I had her room. I didn't need the necklace to remember her. But you wanted it back, he shouted. Just tonight at dinner, you said you wished we'd kept it. You said you wanted something to hold on to. I froze. He was right. I had said that. I'd been testing him, but he was right. That doesn't give you the right, I said quietly. That doesn't give you the right to make that choice for me, to lie to me, to steal from our daughter's body. I know. He sank down onto the couch, his head in his hands. I know, and I've regretted it every single day since. Every time I looked at you, every time we visited her grave, every time you mentioned the necklace, it killed me. The guilt was destroying me. Rebecca looked at me. I could see the question in her eyes. Do you believe him? I didn't know. I didn't know anything anymore. The photos, I said. Why did you take photos? Marcus looked up. What? The photos in your desk of Emma, of you removing the necklace. Why document it? He was quiet for a long moment. Insurance. Insurance? In case something happened to the necklace, in case it got lost or stolen. I wanted proof that it existed, that it was real, that it was hers. He laughed bitterly. Stupid, right? I took it to preserve it, and then I was so paranoid about losing it that I photographed everything. It made a twisted kind of sense, but it also felt wrong. Something about his explanation didn't add up. When did you give it away? Exactly when? October 15th. Why that day? He hesitated. It was Emma's half birthday. She would have been 10 and a half. I woke up that morning and I couldn't take it anymore. The necklace felt like a weight, a constant reminder of what I'd done. So I went downtown during my volunteer shift and I gave it to the first person who looked like they needed something good in their life. I felt tears streaming down my face. You gave away our daughter's necklace on her half birthday? I know how it sounds. Do you? I was sobbing now. Do you have any idea what this feels like?
I've spent 3 years believing Emma was at peace, believing she had the one thing she loved most with her, and now I find out she's been lying in the ground alone while you played God with her belongings? She's not alone, Sarah. She's not alone. She has us. She has our love. A necklace doesn't change that. It changes everything, I screamed. Everything. Because now I know I can't trust you. Now I know the man I've been grieving with, the man I've been healing with, has been lying to me every single day. I never wanted to hurt you, but you did. You hurt me in the worst possible way. You took away my choice. You took away my agency. You decided what was best for me like I was a child who couldn't handle making my own decisions. Marcus stood up. You weren't making rational decisions. Sarah, you were so deep in grief you couldn't see straight. Someone had to make the hard choices. Not about this, not about our daughter. We stood there, screaming at each other across the living room. Rebecca sat frozen on the couch, watching us tear each other apart. Finally, I wiped my eyes, took a shaky breath. I need you to leave, I said quietly. Marcus's face went white. What? I need you to pack a bag and leave tonight. I can't be in this house with you right now. Sarah, please. Now, Marcus, get out. Go stay with your brother. Go stay at a hotel. I don't care, but you need to leave. We need to talk about this. We just did, and now I need you gone. Rebecca stood up. Marcus, I think it's best if you go. Give Sarah some space. You can talk more tomorrow when everyone's calmer. He looked between us, defeated, broken. Okay, he whispered. Okay, I'll go. But Sarah, please believe me. I love you. I love Emma. Everything I did because I couldn't stand the thought of losing both of you. You already lost Emma, and now you're losing me too. He flinched like I'd struck him. Then he turned and walked upstairs. I heard him moving around in our bedroom, opening drawers, zipping a bag. 10 minutes later, he came back down with a duffel bag. He stopped at the door. I'm sorry for everything. I'm so sorry. Then he left. The door closed, the house fell silent, and I collapsed into Rebecca's arms and sobbed like I hadn't sobbed since the day Emma died. But even as I cried, even as my sister held me and whispered that everything would be all right, a small voice in the back of my mind whispered, "He's still lying. There's more. There's something he's not telling you." Rebecca stayed with me that night. We didn't talk much. She made tea that I didn't drink and sat with me on the couch while I stared at nothing. The necklace sat on the coffee table between us, catching the lamplight, that tiny silver hummingbird frozen mid-flight. Around midnight, Rebecca convinced me to try to sleep. She took the guest room. I lay in my bed, our bed, mine and Marcus's, and stared at the ceiling until dawn. Something was wrong. Marcus's explanation made sense on the surface, but it didn't feel right. The guilt, the photos, giving it away, all of it felt like a story constructed to cover something deeper, something darker. I knew Marcus. I'd been married to him for 12 years. I knew when he was telling the whole truth and when he was giving me the edited version. Last night was the edited version. But what was he hiding? At 6 a.m., I gave up on sleep. I got up, made coffee, and went into Marcus's office. The locked drawer was still broken from yesterday. I pulled out the manila folder and spread the photos across his desk. This time, I looked at them more carefully, methodically. The first photos were time-stamped June 17, 2021, 11:47 p.m., the night before Emma's funeral. They showed Emma in her casket at the funeral home. The necklace was around her neck in these ones. I could see it clearly, the silver chain, the hummingbird pendant resting against her yellow dress. The next series of photos were time-stamped June 18, 2021, 1:23 a.m.
After midnight, these showed Marcus's hands reaching into the casket, unclasping the necklace, lifting it away, Emma's neck bare in the final shots. He'd gone back to the funeral home in the middle of the night. How? Funeral homes are locked, secured. You can't just walk in at 1 a.m. and open a casket. Unless you have a key. Unless someone let you in. I grabbed my phone and called the funeral home. Peaceful Rest Memorial Services. A woman answered, professional and soft-voiced. Peaceful Rest? This is Diana. How can I help you? Hi, yes. My daughter? We held services there 3 years ago. Emma Mitchell? I have a question about access to the facility. Of course. What can I help you with? If a family member wanted to visit after hours, would that be possible? Like late at night? There was a pause. We don't typically allow after-hours visits. The facility is locked at 8 p.m. However, if there are special circumstances, families can request supervised access. Supervised? Yes, a staff member would need to be present. So there's no way someone could enter alone in the middle of the night? Another pause, longer this time. Is there a specific incident you're concerned about, Mrs. Mitchell? I hesitated. I think my husband may have accessed my daughter's casket after hours, the night before the funeral, around 1 a.m. Let me pull up your file. I heard typing. Emma Rose Mitchell, services held June 18, 2021. I'm showing, yes, there's a note here. Your husband, Marcus, requested private viewing time on the evening of June 17th, on June 17th. He arrived at 11:30 p.m. with Daniel Reeves, one of our funeral directors. Mr. Reeves supervised the visit and locked up after Mr. Mitchell left at 2:15 a.m. My blood ran cold. He requested it? It was approved? Yes, ma'am. It's not common, but it's not unheard of. Some family members need additional time for closure. Mr. Mitchell stated he wanted a private moment to say goodbye. And during this time, he was alone with the casket. Mr. Reeves remained in the building for security purposes, but he gave your husband privacy in the viewing room. Is there a problem? No, no problem. Thank you. I hung up. Marcus had planned it. He'd arranged official access. He'd brought a funeral director as a witness to make it look legitimate. He'd spent nearly 3 hours alone with Emma's body. 3 hours. To remove a necklace should take 30 seconds. What else did he do? I looked at the photos again. This time I noticed something I'd missed before. In the background of one shot, partially visible, was a document on a side table. I couldn't read it, but it looked official, a form of some kind. I grabbed a magnifying glass from Marcus's desk drawer and examined the photo more closely. The document had a header, Washington State Department of Health. A death certificate? No, we'd already received Emma's death certificate. I had a copy in our files. I zoomed in further, made out a few words. To amend, official record, medical examiner. My hands started shaking. I ran to our home office and pulled out the file cabinet where we kept important documents, birth certificates, passports, marriage license, and Emma's death certificate. I unfolded it with trembling fingers. Emma Rose Mitchell, date of death June 14, 2021, cause of death drowning, manner of death accident. I stared at it, read it 3 times. Everything looked normal, official, final. But Marcus had been alone with Emma's body for 3 hours with documents from the Department of Health, documents about amending official records. I grabbed my laptop and searched, How to Amend a Death Certificate, Washington State. The results were immediate. Death certificates could be amended for various reasons, correcting errors, adding information, changing cause of death.
The process required approval from the medical examiner and could be initiated by immediate family members. Changing cause of death.
The words echoed in my head. Why would Marcus want to change Emma's cause of death? Unless... No, that was insane. Emma drowned. We were there. I pulled her from the water myself. The police investigated. The EMTs confirmed it. The medical examiner ruled it accidental drowning. But what if I was wrong? What if there was something I'd missed? I pulled up the police report from the day Emma died. I'd read it once, 3 years ago, and then filed it away because it was too painful. Now I forced myself to read every word. Child found unresponsive in water approximately 20 feet from shore. Mother Sarah Mitchell pulled child from water and performed CPR. Father Marcus Mitchell was on shore when child was discovered. No signs of foul play. Multiple witnesses confirmed child entered water alone, ruled accidental drowning. Father Marcus Mitchell was on shore when child was discovered. I'd been the one to pull Emma out. Where had Marcus been? I closed my eyes and tried to remember that day. The blanket, the picnic, Emma running toward the water. I was unpacking food. Marcus was setting up his speaker. And then what? I couldn't remember. The memory was a blur of panic and water and Emma's lifeless body. I remembered pulling her out. I remembered screaming. I remembered strangers running over, someone calling 911, Marcus suddenly there beside me. But where had he been before, when Emma went in the water, when she was drowning? I picked up my phone, called Rebecca. "Sarah, it's 7 in the morning. Are you okay? I need you to help me remember something. The day Emma died at the lake. Where was Marcus?" "What? I wasn't there, remember? I came to the hospital after." Right, sorry. I need to think. "Sarah, what's going on? You sound manic." Marcus spent 3 hours alone with Emma's body the night before the funeral. He had official documents, something about amending records. Rebecca, what if Emma's death wasn't an accident? Silence. "Sarah, listen to me. You need to slow down. You're not thinking clearly. Marcus explained about the necklace. He's lying. There's more. I can feel it." Okay, let's say you're right. What are you suggesting? That Marcus hurt Emma?" The words hung there. Ugly. Impossible. "I don't know," I whispered, "but I need to find out." "Then we do this right. We don't accuse. We investigate carefully. Do you understand?" "Yes." "I'm coming over. Don't do anything until I get there." She hung up. I sat at the desk, staring at the death certificate, at the police report, at the photos of Marcus removing the necklace. And then I saw it. In one of the photos, tucked partially under Emma's shoulder, was a piece of paper. I grabbed the magnifying glass again, zoomed in. It was a handwritten note, Marcus's handwriting. I could only make out a few words. "Forgive me, had to, protect." Protect who? Protect what? My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "Sarah, please can we talk? I know you're angry, but there are things you don't understand, things I couldn't tell you. Please call me." Things he couldn't tell me. I stared at the message. Then I texted back. "Come to the house, noon. We need to talk." His reply was immediate. "Thank you. I'll be there. I love you." I didn't respond. Instead, I gathered every photo, every document, every piece of evidence, and spread it across the dining room table. When Rebecca arrived 20 minutes later, I showed her everything.
This isn't about a necklace. This is about something much bigger. And when Marcus gets here at noon, he's going to tell me the truth, all of it." Rebecca looked at the table, at the evidence, at me. "What if the truth is worse than you think?" she asked quietly. "Then at least I'll finally know. At least I'll finally know what really happened to my daughter."
The hours between 7 a.m. and noon felt like an eternity. Rebecca and I sat at the dining room table, surrounded by evidence, drinking coffee that had gone cold and bitter. We didn't talk much. What was there to say? Every theory I came up with sounded insane. Marcus hurt Emma. Impossible. He loved her. Marcus knew something about Emma's death and covered it up. But why? Marcus had been having an affair and Emma found out. Ridiculous. Emma was 7 years old. Nothing made sense. But the photos didn't lie. The broken lock on his drawer didn't lie. The 3 hours alone with Emma's body didn't lie. At 10 a.m., Rebecca made us eat something. Toast with peanut butter that tasted like cardboard. I forced it down anyway. I needed to be sharp, alert, ready. At 11:30, I showered and changed, put on jeans and a sweater, pulled my hair back. I wanted to look put together, in control, even though inside I was falling apart. At 11:59, Marcus's car pulled into the driveway. Rebecca squeezed my hand. "I'll be in the kitchen. If you need me, just say my name." "Thank you. And Sarah, if at any point you feel unsafe, I'll be fine. Promise me you'll call out if you need me. I promise." She disappeared into the kitchen. I heard the door swing closed. Then I heard Marcus's key in the lock. He looked terrible. Dark circles under his eyes, unshaven, wearing the same clothes from yesterday. He stepped inside hesitantly, like he wasn't sure if he was still allowed in his own home. "Sarah," he said, "thank you for agreeing to see me." "Sit down, Marcus." My voice was steady, cold. "We need to talk." He saw the dining room table covered in photos and documents. His face went pale. "You went through my office. You left me no choice. Sit down." He sat. I remained standing. Control. I needed to maintain control. "I'm going to ask you questions, and you are going to answer them truthfully. No more lies, no more edited versions. If you lie to me again, we're done. Do you understand?" "Yes." "Why did you spend 3 hours alone with Emma's body the night before her funeral?" He swallowed hard. "To say goodbye, to have time with her without everyone else around." "Try again. It takes 30 seconds to remove a necklace. You were there for 3 hours. What else did you do?" His jaw tightened. "I needed time to process." "Marcus." I picked up one of the photos, the one with the Department of Health document in the background. "What were you doing with paperwork from the medical examiner's office?" He closed his eyes. "Sarah, answer the question." "I was reviewing Emma's autopsy report." The room tilted. "Her what?" "Her autopsy report. I requested a copy. I needed to see it to understand what happened to her." "There was an autopsy?" My voice was rising. "Nobody told me there was an autopsy." "It's standard procedure in accidental drownings involving children. They always do one. You were in shock. You were barely functional. I handled all the paperwork. I didn't want you to have to deal with it. So you hid it from me." "I was protecting you. From what?" I slammed my hand on the table. "From the truth about how our daughter died? From the details, from the medical terminology, from having to read about her lungs and her brain." And his voice cracked. "Sarah, it was brutal. The report was brutal. I didn't want you to have to see that." "That wasn't your decision to make." I was shaking now. "What else did the report say? What else are you hiding?" Marcus stood up, paced to the window, stared out with his back to me. There were inconsistencies. My heart stopped. "What kind of inconsistencies?" "Emma had a bruise on her upper arm. Here." He touched his own bicep. "The medical examiner noted it, asked about it." A bruise? Kids get bruises all the time. She probably got it at school, or it was fresh, less than an hour old when she died, and it was in the shape of fingers, like someone had grabbed her. The room spun. I grabbed the edge of the table to steady myself. Someone grabbed her? The medical examiner asked if there had been any altercation at the lake, if anyone had pulled her or restrained her. The police interviewed witnesses. Everyone said no, said she went in the water alone, so they ruled it accidental. But you don't think it was accidental? He turned to face me. His eyes were hollow. I don't know what to think. Marcus, if someone hurt our daughter, if someone grabbed her, and there's no evidence of that. The bruise could have been from anything. Maybe she bumped into someone in the water. Maybe another kid grabbed her playing. Maybe she hit her arm on something. The medical examiner said it wasn't conclusive of anything. Then why hide it from me? Why keep the report secret? Because you were already drowning in guilt. You already blamed yourself. If I told you there was a bruise, that someone might have grabbed her, you would have tortured yourself trying to remember who was near her in the water. You would have driven yourself insane looking for someone to blame. So you decided to carry it alone. Yes, I decided to carry it alone because that's what husbands do. They protect their wives. By lying to them? By sparing them unnecessary pain. We stared at each other across the dining room, both breathing hard, both on the edge of breaking. The note, I said quietly, in one of the photos, there's a handwritten note. Forgive me, had to, protect. Protect who, Marcus? What does that mean? His face crumbled. I can't. Tell me. I was protecting you. From what? From yourself. He was crying now. Sarah, you need to understand. That day at the lake, you weren't just unpacking the picnic. You were distracted. You were on your phone. You were texting someone. I froze. What? You were texting your sister about Emma's birthday party the week before. You were upset because your mother had made some comment about the cake you'd chosen. You were venting. You were typing furiously, and Emma ran past you toward the water and you didn't even look up. No, that's not... I saw you, Sarah. I watched you. You were so absorbed in your phone that you didn't notice Emma leave. And when I realized she'd gone in the water, I ran. I ran toward the shore, but I was too far away. By the time I got there, you'd already pulled her out. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The bruising on Emma's arm, Marcus continued, his voice breaking. I think it was from you, from when you pulled her out of the water, from when you grabbed her and dragged her to shore. The medical examiner said the bruising pattern was consistent with a rescue attempt. No. The note I wrote was a prayer, a plea for forgiveness because I couldn't tell you the truth, because if I told you you'd been on your phone, that you'd caused the bruise trying to save her, you would never forgive yourself. So I took the necklace. I kept the autopsy report. I carried the guilt because at least then you could grieve without blaming yourself. You're lying. But even as I said it, fragments of memory came back. My phone, a text conversation, my mother's voice in my head, the anger about the cake. Had I been on my phone? Had I been distracted? I'm not lying, Marcus said, and that's why I couldn't tell you. That's why I kept everything hidden, because losing Emma nearly destroyed you. Learning that you were distracted when she died would have killed you completely. I sank into a chair. My legs wouldn't hold me anymore. But there's more, Marcus said quietly. Isn't there? Because you found the necklace, and that's not how this was supposed to go. What do you mean? I gave the necklace away because I was planning to leave you, to divorce you, to set you free from me and all the secrets I was carrying. I thought if the necklace was gone, you'd have closure. You'd be able to move on, to heal. You were going to leave me? I was going to set you free, he whispered, because I love you too much to keep lying to you, but I couldn't tell you the truth either. So I was going to disappear, let you hate me, let you blame me, let you move on. The doorbell rang. We both froze. Are you expecting someone? No. The doorbell rang again, insistent. I walked to the door on numb legs, opened it. 2 police officers stood on my porch. Mrs. Mitchell? Sarah Mitchell? Yes. We need to ask you some questions about your daughter's death. May we come in?
My vision tunneled. The police officers' faces blurred. I heard Marcus behind me, his sharp intake of breath. "What is this about?" I managed to say. The older officer, a woman with graying hair pulled back in a tight bun, spoke gently. "Mrs. Mitchell, I'm Detective Sandra Morales, and this is Detective James Park. We've received some information regarding your daughter Emma's death in 2021. May we come inside?" "Information? What information?" Marcus appeared beside me. "We were told the case was closed. Accidental drowning." Detective Park, a younger Asian man with kind eyes, looked between us. "Perhaps we should discuss this inside?" Rebecca emerged from the kitchen, her lawyer instincts immediately activated. "I'm Rebecca Hart, Sarah's sister and her attorney. What's this about?" "Attorney?" Detective Morales raised an eyebrow. "Is there a reason Mrs. Mitchell needs legal representation?" "Everyone needs legal representation when police show up unannounced," Rebecca said smoothly. "Please, come in, but I'd like to know the nature of this visit before my client answers any questions." We moved into the living room. The police sat on one couch. Marcus and I sat on the other, a careful distance between us. Rebecca stood behind us, protective. Detective Morales pulled out a notebook. 3 days ago, we received an anonymous tip through our cold case hotline. The caller claimed to have information about Emma Mitchell's drowning that contradicts the accidental death ruling. My heart stopped. Anonymous tip? From who? We don't know. The call was placed from a burner phone, but the information provided was specific enough that we had to investigate. She looked at Marcus. The caller claimed that Emma Mitchell's death wasn't an accident, that someone at the lake that day knew more than they told police. Marcus's face went white. "That's insane. We were there. We saw what happened. Emma drowned. It was terrible, but it was an accident." "The caller mentioned something else," Detective Park said. "They said that Emma's father removed a piece of jewelry from her body before burial, and that this jewelry recently surfaced in downtown Seattle on a homeless woman. They suggested we look into why someone would take evidence from a deceased child." The necklace. Someone had reported Marcus giving away the necklace. "Who made this call?" I asked, my voice shaking. "Who would know about the necklace?" "That's what we're trying to determine," Detective Morales said. She turned to Marcus. "Mr. Mitchell, did you remove jewelry from your daughter's body before her burial?" Marcus hesitated. Rebecca jumped in. "Detective, my client—" "Yes," Marcus said. "Yes, I took the necklace." "Marcus, don't—" Rebecca started. "It's fine." He looked at the detectives. "I took my daughter's necklace before the funeral. My wife wanted it buried with Emma. I didn't. I kept it for months, then I gave it to a homeless woman as an act of charity. That's all." "Why would you go against your wife's wishes?" Detective Park asked. "Because I was grieving. Because I wanted something of my daughter's to hold on to. Is that a crime?" "Removing property from a deceased person without permission can be considered theft. She was my daughter." "Marcus, stop talking." Rebecca's voice was sharp. "Detectives, unless you're here to charge my brother-in-law, I think—" "We're not here to charge anyone, not yet. We're here because the anonymous caller mentioned something else, something that made us pull Emma's autopsy report and review the original investigation." The room went silent. "What did they say?" I whispered. Detective Morales looked at me carefully. "They said that Emma Mitchell didn't drown accidentally. They said she was held underwater by someone she trusted." The words hit me like a physical blow. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. "That's a lie!" Marcus shouted. "Emma drowned. The medical examiner ruled it accidental."
The medical examiner noted several inconsistencies, a fresh bruise on her arm, some scratches on her neck that were initially attributed to debris in the water, and a witness who was never properly interviewed. "What witness?" Rebecca demanded. "A teenage girl who was swimming near Emma that day. She was interviewed briefly at the scene, but was never followed up with. We tracked her down yesterday. She's 19 now, and she remembers something she didn't tell anyone 3 years ago because she wasn't sure what she'd seen." My hands were shaking so badly I had to sit on them. "What did she see?" "She saw a man in the water near Emma. She said Emma seemed to be playing at first, then suddenly she went under. The man moved away quickly. When Emma's mother pulled her out moments later, the man was back on shore. She didn't think much of it then, thought maybe he'd tried to help or something. But when she heard about the drowning later, she wondered, but she was 15 and scared and didn't want to get involved." Marcus stood up abruptly. "This is insane. There were dozens of people at that lake. Men, women, children. Someone being near Emma in the water doesn't mean—" "She described him," Detective Park interrupted. "Tall, black, maybe 35 to 40, wearing red swim trunks." The room spun. I remembered Marcus's swim trunks that day. Red, bright red. "You were in the water?" I turned to Marcus. "You said you were on shore. You said you were too far away. I was on shore. I never went in the water." "Mr. Mitchell, we checked your phone records from that day," Detective Morales said quietly. "You made several calls in the weeks leading up to Emma's death, to Peaceful Rest Memorial Services, to the King County Medical Examiner's Office, to a lawyer specializing in estate planning, all before Emma died." The implication hung in the air like poison.
"You're saying he planned it?" Rebecca's voice was barely audible. "You're saying Marcus planned to kill Emma?" "We're not saying anything yet," Detective Park said. "We're investigating. But, Mr. Mitchell, these calls, combined with the witness statement and the inconsistencies in the autopsy—" "I want a lawyer," Marcus said suddenly. "I'm not saying another word without a lawyer." "Marcus," I stood up, my legs shaking. "Marcus, look at me. Were you in the water? Did you—" I couldn't say it, couldn't form the words. He looked at me, and in his eyes I saw something I'd never seen before. Fear. Deep, terrible fear. "You have to understand. Did you kill our daughter?" "No, God, no. I loved Emma. I would never—" "Then why did you lie about being on shore? Why were you calling the medical examiner before she died? Why were you planning—" My voice broke. "Why were you planning for her death?" "Because I knew," Marcus shouted. The room went silent. "I knew she was going to die, and I couldn't stop it." Everyone stared at him. "What are you talking about?" Detective Morales leaned forward. Marcus sank back onto the couch, his head in his hands. When he spoke, his voice was broken. "Emma was sick. She had a heart condition, a genetic defect that we didn't know about until it was too late." I felt the floor drop out from under me. "What?" "2 weeks before she died, she collapsed at school. Remember? The school called and said she'd fainted during PE. We took her to the doctor." I remembered. The doctor had said it was probably dehydration, nothing to worry about. "I took her for a follow-up without you, because you had that big photography shoot. The cardiologist did an EKG, found an abnormality, ordered more tests. The results came back 3 days before we went to the lake." "What results?" "Long QT syndrome, a heart arrhythmia. The cardiologist said it was serious, that she could have sudden cardiac arrest at any time, that swimming was particularly dangerous because cold water could trigger it. He wanted to start medication immediately, wanted to restrict her activities." Tears were streaming down his face now. "But Emma was so excited about the lake. She'd been talking about it for weeks. the hummingbirds at the shore, the swimming. She was so happy. And the doctor said we had time, that the medication would take weeks to work anyway. So I thought one last day, one last perfect day before we had to tell her she might never swim again. You knew, I whispered. You knew she could die in the water, and you let her go in anyway. I didn't think it would happen. The doctor said the risk was low with supervision. I was watching her. I was right there. You were in the water with her, Detective Park said. The witness was right. Yes, I was in the water because I was watching her, making sure she was okay. And then, his voice cracked, then I saw her face change, saw her eyes go wide. I knew what was happening. I tried to grab her, to pull her out, but she went under so fast. I dove down, tried to find her, but the water was murky and there were so many people, and by the time I surfaced, you were already pulling her out. The bruise on her arm, I said numbly, was from you. You grabbed her and couldn't hold on. I tried. God, Sarah, I tried. But she was seizing. Her whole body was convulsing. I couldn't get a grip. And then she went limp, and I lost her in the water. Why didn't you tell me? I was screaming now. Why didn't you tell me she was sick? Why didn't you tell me what happened? Because it was my fault. I knew she shouldn't be in the water. I knew the risks, and I let her go in anyway because I wanted her to be happy. I wanted one last perfect day, and it killed her. He was sobbing, broken, destroyed. The calls to the medical examiner, Detective Morales said. You were trying to control the narrative, make sure the heart condition didn't come out in the autopsy? I didn't want Sarah to know. I didn't want her to know I'd killed our daughter. You didn't kill her, Detective Park said quietly. If what you're saying is true, Emma died of a cardiac event. That's not murder. That's not even negligence. That's a tragic medical condition. But I knew, Marcus looked at them desperately. I knew, and I didn't protect her. I was supposed to protect her, and instead I gave her one last swim, and it killed her. The room was spinning. I couldn't process what I was hearing. Emma was sick. Marcus knew. He'd been in the water. He'd tried to save her. He'd watched her die, and he'd hidden all of it. The autopsy? Rebecca said. Did it show the heart condition? Yes, Detective Morales said, flipping through papers. It's right here. Long QT syndrome. Cause of death is listed as drowning secondary to cardiac arrhythmia. It's all in the report. Then why was it ruled accidental? I asked. Because it was accidental. Emma had a medical condition. She had a cardiac event while swimming. It's tragic, but it's not a crime. But the anonymous tip, Detective Park looked at Marcus. Someone wanted us to investigate you. Someone wanted us to think you murdered Emma. Who would do that? Marcus looked at me, and in that moment I saw the truth in his eyes. You, I whispered. You made the call. You turned yourself in. He nodded slowly. I couldn't live with the guilt anymore. I couldn't keep lying. I thought if the police investigated, the truth would come out. You'd finally know, and maybe you'd forgive me, or maybe you'd hate me and leave, and at least it would be over. I stared at my husband, this man I'd loved for 12 years, this man who'd watched our daughter die and carried the guilt alone for 3 years, this man who'd lied and hidden and tried to protect me from the truth. Get out, I said quietly. Sarah! Ma'am, Detective Morales stood. We may need to speak with both of you again. Then call my lawyer, but right now I need him gone. Please. The detectives looked at each other, nodded. Mr. Mitchell, you should come with us. We'll need a formal statement. Marcus stood on shaking legs. He looked at me one last time. I'm sorry for everything. I'm so sorry. Then he was gone. The police escorted him out. The door closed, and I collapsed. Rebecca caught me before I hit the floor. She lowered me onto the couch, holding me while I shattered into pieces I didn't think could ever be put back together. I don't know how long I cried. Time meant nothing. The world meant nothing. My daughter had been sick, dying, and I never knew. My husband had watched her die, tried to save her, failed, and carried that weight alone for 3 years. And I had been on my phone, distracted, not watching, not protecting. We had all failed Emma in different ways, and she had died anyway. "Breathe," Rebecca whispered. "Sarah, you need to breathe." But I couldn't. My chest was too tight. My lungs wouldn't work. Everything hurt. "Emma was sick," I gasped between sobs. "She was dying, and I didn't know. I was her mother, and I didn't know." "You couldn't have known. Marcus kept it from you." "But I should have seen signs. I should have noticed. What kind of mother doesn't notice her child is dying?" "The kind who was living a normal life and trusting her partner to communicate," Rebecca said firmly. "Sarah, this is not your fault. Marcus made choices. He kept secrets. He denied you the chance to help your daughter. He was trying to give her one last happy day. He was trying to play God, and it backfired, but that doesn't make you responsible." I pulled away from her, wiping my face with shaking hands. "I need to see the autopsy report. I need to see all of it, everything Marcus hid from me." "Are you sure? Sarah, medical reports can be—" "I need to know. I need to understand what happened to my baby." Rebecca was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded. "Okay, I'll request copies from the police, but not today. Today you need to rest, to process, to just be." "I can't rest. I can't just be. Becca, everything I thought I knew was a lie. My marriage, Emma's death, all of it." "Not all of it." She took my hands. "Emma was real. Your love for her was real. The 7 years you had with her, those were real. Marcus's lies don't change that." But they did. They changed everything. The next few days were a blur. Rebecca stayed with me, fielding phone calls, handling the police, making sure I ate and slept and showered. Detective Morales called twice, once to tell me that Marcus had given a full statement and that no charges would be filed. Emma's death was officially ruled accidental, cardiac arrest triggered by cold water while swimming. The second time to tell me that the autopsy report and all related documents were being sent to Rebecca's office per my request. I couldn't bring myself to call Marcus, couldn't bring myself to hear his voice, but he texted me every day. "I'm staying at Tom's apartment. Take all the time you need." The police confirmed everything. I'm not being charged with anything. "I know you hate me. I understand. I hate me too. I never meant to hurt you. I was trying to protect you. I see now how wrong that was." That last message broke me all over again. I threw my phone across the room and sobbed into a pillow until my throat was raw. On the 5th day, the documents arrived. Rebecca spread them across the dining room table, the same table where the photos had been, where the evidence of Marcus's lies had first appeared. Now it held the full truth. Emma's medical records from the cardiologist, long QT syndrome, type 2, high risk for sudden cardiac death, especially during exercise or cold water exposure. Recommendation for immediate beta blocker therapy and activity restrictions. The autopsy report, clinical, detailed, devastating. Drowning secondary to cardiac arrhythmia, fresh water in lungs, petechial hemorrhaging consistent with asphyxiation, minor bruising and abrasions consistent with rescue attempt. Heart tissue showed clear evidence of genetic abnormality. The police reports, witness statements, timeline, and buried in the middle, the teenage girl's original statement. I saw a man in red swim trunks near the little girl. She went under. He dove down, came up alone. Then the mom was pulling her out and screaming. Marcus had been telling the truth. He'd tried to save her. He'd watched her die, and he'd lived with that for 3 years. I read everything twice, 3 times, trying to understand, trying to make peace with it. "What are you thinking?" Rebecca asked gently. "I'm thinking that Marcus and I both killed our daughter in different ways. Sarah, he knew she was sick and took her swimming anyway. I was distracted and didn't watch her closely enough. We both made mistakes. We both contributed to her death. Emma had a medical condition. What happened was a tragic accident exacerbated by that condition. Neither of you murdered her. But we could have saved her. If Marcus had told me, we wouldn't have gone to the lake. If I hadn't been on my phone, I would have seen her go under faster. If we'd been better parents..." "You were good parents. You loved Emma. You gave her a beautiful life. The fact that you both made human mistakes doesn't change that." I was quiet for a long time. Then I said, "I need to talk to him." "Are you sure?" "No, but I need to." Marcus came over that evening. He looked terrible, hollow-eyed, unshaven, like he hadn't slept in days. Probably because he hadn't. Neither had I. We sat in the living room, the same spots where we'd sat when the police came. This time, Rebecca gave us privacy, retreating to the kitchen but staying close. "Thank you for seeing me," Marcus said quietly. I read everything, the medical records, the autopsy, all of it. He nodded. And I understand now what you were trying to do, why you hid it. Does that mean you forgive me?" I looked at him, really looked at him, this man who had been my partner, my best friend, the father of my child, this man who made a terrible choice and lived with the consequences. "I don't know if I can forgive you," I said honestly. "You took away my choice. You decided that I was too weak to handle the truth about our daughter's health. You watched her die and let me believe I was at fault. You spent 3 years lying to me every day. I know, and I will regret those choices for the rest of my life. But I also understand that you were in an impossible situation, that you were trying to protect Emma, to give her happiness, to spare me pain. Your intentions were good, even if your methods were wrong." Marcus's eyes filled with tears. "I never stopped loving you, or Emma. Everything I did, I know you loved us. But Marcus, love without trust is nothing, and I don't know if I can ever trust you again." He nodded slowly. "So what happens now?" "Now we both have to figure out how to live with what we did, how to forgive ourselves for the choices we made, how to move forward. Together?" I was quiet for a long time. The word hung in the air between us, heavy with possibility and pain. "I don't know," I finally said. "Right now, I need space, time. I need to process everything, to grieve Emma all over again, knowing the full truth. And I need to figure out who I am without all the lies." "I understand. Take all the time you need. I'll stay with Tom. I'll give you space." "There's something else," I said. I pulled the necklace from my pocket. Emma's hummingbird. "I went back to find the woman you gave this to, gave her money, asked for it back. She understood." Marcus stared at the necklace, his face crumbling. "I'm going to keep it," I continued. "Not bury it, not give it away. Keep it as a reminder of Emma, of us, of everything we were and everything we lost." "Sarah..." Emma had a short life, 7 years, but they were 7 beautiful years. She was loved, she was happy, she chased hummingbirds and drew pictures and laughed at her own jokes. And yes, she died too young, in a terrible way, because of choices we both made. But her life mattered, her joy mattered, and this necklace, I held it up, watching the hummingbird catch the light. This necklace represents all of that, the good and the bad, the love and the loss. Marcus was crying openly now. She would have been 10 and a half next month. I know. I miss her every single day. So do I. We sat in silence, two broken people who had loved the same little girl and failed her in different ways. Finally, Marcus stood. I should go. But Sarah, before I do, I need you to know something. The guilt I've been carrying, the lies I've told, they were destroying me, eating me alive. And as much as this hurts, as much as I've lost everything, there's a part of me that's relieved the truth is finally out, that you finally know. Even if it costs you our marriage, even then, because you deserve the truth. You've always deserved the truth, and I should have given it to you 3 years ago. I walked him to the door. He paused on the threshold. If you ever want to talk, to ask me anything, I'm here. I'll always be here. I know. He left, and this time I didn't collapse. I stood in the doorway, holding Emma's necklace, and I breathed. 3 months later, I'm sitting in Emma's room. We haven't changed it since she died. Her drawings still cover the walls. Her stuffed animals still line the shelves. Her books still sit in neat rows. But today, for the first time in 3 years, I'm packing some of it away. Not all of it. I'm not ready to erase her completely, but some things. The clothes she's outgrown, the toys she stopped playing with, the reminders that hurt more than they heal. Those things can be donated, given to children who need them, who will love them the way Emma did. Rebecca is helping me. She's been my rock through all of this, the revelation, the grief, the slow process of healing. How are you doing? She asks, folding a yellow dress carefully. Better, I say, and I mean it. Some days are harder than others, but I'm getting there. And Marcus? Marcus and I are separated, not divorced, not yet, but living apart. We're both in therapy, both working through our guilt and our grief. We talk sometimes, brief conversations about logistics, about shared memories, about Emma. It's not a marriage anymore. I don't know if it ever will be again, but it's something, a fragile connection between two people who loved the same child and learned the hard way that love isn't always enough. He's okay, I say. We're taking it day by day. That's all you can do. I pick up Emma's hummingbird book, the one she'd read 100 times, memorizing facts and staring at the pictures. I open it, and a piece of paper falls out, a drawing Emma made, a hummingbird in flight, its wings spread wide, colored in her careful 7-year-old hand, and at the bottom, in her wobbly printing, "For Mommy, I love you to the sky and back." I trace the words with my finger, tears slipping down my cheeks. But they're different tears now, not the drowning, suffocating tears of early grief. These are gentler, bittersweet, a recognition that Emma is gone, but her love remains. I'm keeping this one, I say, showing Rebecca. She smiles. Of course you are. We continue packing, slowly, carefully, with love, and around my neck, catching the afternoon light streaming through Emma's window, hangs a silver hummingbird, wings spread, forever in flight. A reminder that some things, some loves, never die. They just transform, take new shape, become part of who we are and who we'll always be. Emma's wings, my heart, our story. The end. If you've lost someone you loved, if you've carried guilt you didn't deserve, if you've been lied to by someone who claimed to protect you, I want you to know this: you are not alone. Grief is not linear. Forgiveness is not required, and healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means learning to carry the weight, learning to breathe around a pain, learning that love and loss can exist in the same space, in the same heart, in the same moment. Emma's story is over, but mine continues, and so does yours. Keep flying.